Hey kid, you want some candy? Welcome back to Germanology. In this episode, I thought I would tell you a little bit about my candy dealing days. Yes, I was a candy dealer, but let me tell you that story. So, for those of you that are maybe a little bit older, you may know that back in the day we weren't allowed to have snacks in class. There was no snack times, there was no drink water bottles, there was no candy. We weren't allowed to have any of that stuff. So, as a result, there became kind of this culture of sneaking in candy, selling candy, sharing candy, etc. And in junior high, I decided to cash in on the candy dealing. So junior high, before the age of 16, so I didn't have a lot of income. I had an allowance. So I decided to use that allowance to start a candy dealing business in the 8th grade. What I would do is go to my local 5 and 10. That's what we called it. It's just almost like a drugstore that had candy. And I would buy the Now and Laters. So they're kind of a chewy, taffy with a variety of flavors, often fruity, but they do have chocolate, and I believe they have a vanilla flavor. But they would come in a pack of 6 pieces, and they would sell for a quarter. Again, back in the day, they would sell for a quarter. So I could take them to school. I would buy a variety of flavors. I would sell them for 5 cents a piece, making a 5-cent profit per 25% per 25-cent investment. So for 25 cents, I would make 5 cents. So out of every dollar I spent, I would make 20 cents. So it was not a booming business, but I became known as the Candy Man, and I did that for quite a while until I was a little worried about getting caught. Again, we weren't allowed to have candy, so if I were to be the one found with the candy, A, they would confiscate my merchandise, but B, I might get in trouble for that. So I kind of laid off of that. When we got to high school, the guides or the rules weren't as strict. So in high school, my mom would purchase Brach's candies, and they were Brach's, and I believe they were called the Star Brights or Star Lights. They were the red and white peppermints. And she would also buy the blue ones called Coolers. And she would buy those every time she went to the grocery. I'd grab a handful of them and I'd throw them in my book bag. And it got to be that any of my classmates that were in classes with me knew that I had those candies with me. And at this point, I wasn't charging for them because it wasn't my money that was invested in them. But I would be the candy man. So they would come to me and they would get the candy, and I would give them these mints, which really kind of made me a little bit of a social butterfly, because people would come to me just for the candy. I wasn't known throughout my entire grade as a candy man, but those that were in the classes with me often knew that I had those candies. And so they would come to me for those candies. So as my life progressed and my candy taste buds matured, as I got into the professional arena, that progressed from the Now and Laters to the Brach's to Jolly Ranchers. And I would go buy a pack of Jolly Ranchers. I had a candy jar at my desk. And basically my coworkers knew that I had Jolly Ranchers, and they would come over and get Jolly Ranchers for me. So there you go. That's the story of my candy dealing days. I've left those days behind me. I've not given up my love of those candies, but the dealing days are done. Thank goodness. There was no future in dealing Jolly Ranchers and Now and Laters and Brach's candy. So I'm thankful to have given that up.